Hello everyone, this is part 48 of What If Naruto Meets the Nine Tails Early, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Jiraiya could only help but look on as a massive cloud of steam erupted from the area where he had left Naruto, and a moment later, the gobi emerged from the steam. That's commented Fukasaku. Yeah, I know, replied Jiraiya. Damn it, I'm not going to make it there in time. Let's just hope I made the right choice in giving Naruto the key. Jiraiya immediately knew his question was just about to be answered when he soon felt the full pressure of the Kyuubi's chakra emerge from the same area where Han. In all honesty, this is what Jiraiya had been hoping for, yet he still couldn't help but feel uneasy about the whole releasing the Kyuubi thing. On one side, the Kyuubi had been the reason for so much destruction and hatred years ago in Konoha. Nobody in their right mind would trust someone if something like that happened. But then there was the other side. The Kyuubi had been helping Naruto for over 2 years now and had not once tried to manipulate the blonde. Also, between the notes from Minato he uncovered before Minato sickbed to his own jutsu gave some credibility to the Kyuubi's alibi. And then there was that contract. The Kyuubi had willingly agreed to aid Naruto by signing that contract, and what made it even more intriguing is that the seals on the contract he was familiar with. He was familiar with the style of those seals, but the only person he knew who used that style of seals was Minato himself. Did that mean Minato had written the contract? It couldn't have been possible, couldn't it? Still, now all Jiraiya could do was pray that Naruto was actually in control of the full Biju transformation and that he wouldn't have to carry through on his threat from before. In Gobi mode, Han watched as a massive amount of chakra surged through his target, and a following explosion of said chakra revealed none other than the Kyuubi no Kitsune. The kid that Iwa had been so afraid of was a Jinchuriki, the Jinchuriki of what was arguably the most powerful of the Biju, and also one he appeared to have control over. For Han, this little omission was quickly turning out to be the most fun he had ever under the service of Iwa. There was only one person who he could truly enjoy himself around, and that was the other Jinchuriki in Iwa, Roshi. Roshi was the only one who understood Han and knew the same suffering and scorn he did. They understood each other, even if their entire perspective of Iwa was entirely different. While Han hated Iwa for the pain they had caused him, Roshi was headstrong and loyal to the village to a fault. Once this mission was over and he was no longer in Iwa, there was only one person he would miss, and that was Roshi, the man he called a brother. But before he could leave, he had one task at hand, and that was to kill a certain blonde kid from Konoha, the same blonde child who had just transformed into the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Whoa, this feels kind of weird, thought Naruto. What do you mean, weird? Asked Kurama. Well, you know, I've got 9 tails that I have absolutely no idea how to control, replied Naruto. This was true, as all 9 tails seemed to be flapping around wild and aimlessly, into the ground, nearby trees, and the side of cliff. Thankfully, no one was around to get hit by them. Oh, and I'm a giant fox. So, what's weird about that? You seem perfectly normal to me. Although you do need to work on your tail control, you nearly flattened the super pervert over there. Oh crap, Ero Senen's gonna K me. Not if Kokuo doesn't first. Look out. Naruto saw the giant horse out of dolphin charging at full speed towards Naruto with his horns lowered. Still not knowing what exactly to do or how to fully control the new form, Naruto had run out of time to dodge and had decided to attempt to grab the horns in order to try and hold the charge off. This, however, proved to be the wrong thing to do, as Han simply continued to push the Kyuubi Naruto back, with no signs of stopping until a friendly cliff decided to give Naruto a hand. Naruto was hard into the solid rock face as he and Han came to a halt. The charge had been stopped, but one of Han's horns had found Naruto's upper arm, leaving a nice wound which immediately began to heal the moment the horn was removed. Damn it, you can't expect to go up against Kokuo in a contest of brute strength. In terms of physical strength, Kokuo, Son Goku, and Gyuki have me beat, said Kurama, obviously a little mad at Naruto for getting wounded, even if the wound was healing rather fast. What? But you said you were the strongest of the Biju, replied Naruto. I am, But not in terms of brute strength. Think, I'm a fox. We're nimble and quick. I may not have as much strength as Kokuo, but I've got more speed and agility than he does. Use that to your advantage to get in, attack, and get out before he can retaliate, advised Kurama. Using the cliff behind him and all 9 tails as leverage, Naruto was able to push Han away from him just enough to escape being pinned against the wall. Taking Kurama's advice, Naruto made the next move, jumping in and taking a swipe at Han with his claws. Naruto jumped back to avoid the horns that Han sent his way just in time, landing behind the horse. Once again, this proved to be a mistake as Han landed a powerful barrel kick to Naruto's C, sending the giant fox skidding back. "Barker, you're still getting thrown around like a rag doll," commented Kurama. "Yeah, but I finally got a hit on him, I'd like to see you do better," retorted Naruto. "You know, never mind. Stop talking and roar, now." Naruto did as told and let out a powerful roar, unleashing a gale in Han's direction just as the Gobi Jinchuriki had turned around. Han dug in deep to withstand the powerful gale sent his way, and was actually forced back quite a few meters. As Naruto ended what Kurama had dubbed Kitsune Tempest, the foxy Jinchuriki was off, running full speed at Han. Han saw this as well and began his own charge, quickly accelerating to full speed and lowering his horns. As they closed in, Naruto finally was starting to get a hang of the high degree of agility in the full Kyuubi form as he was able to dodge Han's charge quickly, making a quick turn and S-Han in the side using his tails as a sort of lash. Han skidded a bit before coming to a halt and steam started to erupt from the tips of Han's horns, encompassing the area around Han in a thick cover of steam. "Brace yourself and be ready to move. He's going to come charging out of that cloud any moment now using the steam to add to his speed," advised Kurama. Naruto nodded and crouched into a ready position. As Kurama had predicted, Han came charging out of the steam with a greatly increased velocity as he closed in on Naruto. Naruto just barely jumped out of the way to avoid the brunt of the blow, but Han ended up clipping one of the tails. "Oi, watch the tails. Hey, it's not my fault they're all over the place," shouted Naruto. "Then get them under control. It's not that difficult," replied Kurama. "Anyways, foxfire." Naruto obliged and opened his mouth, shooting out a powerful stream of golden white flames shot out of Naruto's mouth and incinerated the area around where Han was currently turning for his next charge. "Did that get him?" asked Naruto. However, his question was answered when Han came charging out of the flames straight towards Naruto. As Han lowered his head, Naruto jumped as the horns passed just beneath Naruto's feet. Seeing his opportunity, Naruto came back down upon Han's back, using his back feet to push Han's head downwards and into the ground. "Now you're starting to get the hang of it," commented Kurama. "I'll admit, Gaki, this is the most fun I've had in a while," spoke Han with a demonic tone to his voice. "But it's time to end it." Han rose to his feet and began gathering chakra in front of him. "Tailed beast ball. And make sure you compress it," said Kurama. "Huh, compress it?" asked Naruto. "Just do it." As Han gathered his chakra, Naruto did the same and 2 tailed beat balls hovered in front of Naruto and Han. Making sure to compress it as per Kurama's instruction, the chakra ball was taken into Naruto's mouth, as it was for Han, before both balls were fired at a high speed directly towards each other. The 2 balls of compressed chakra met in the middle and a violent explosion followed, a dome of pure energy expanding and engulfing anything between the 2 Biju mode Jinchuriki. "Naruto, we've gotta end this soon. With this being your first full transformation, we can't maintain this form for much longer. Maybe a few minutes more at best," said Kurama. "What? And you're just telling me this now?" replied Naruto. "And why are you just sitting around?" Shaking his head at Kurama's constant complaining, Naruto made his way, dashing across the newly formed crater in the landscape. Han had done the same thing and was now charging down the slope of the crater as well, using gravity to add to his momentum. While on the run, both Naruto and Han charged up a few less powerful tailed beast balls and sent them flying towards each other. Explosions ricochet through the air as many of those chakra balls impacted with one another, while the rest were either dodged or just flat out missed. As the 2 charges neared each other, Naruto prepared to jump. Not wanting Naruto to pull the same stunt he had before, jumping on top of him and kicking his head into the ground, Han jumped as well to intercept Naruto. But that was not what Naruto had done. The intent to jump was simply a bluff and Han had ended up jumping over Naruto. As Naruto was now directly under Han, the foxy Jinchuriki unleashed another strong blast of wind. Having nothing to anchor himself with, Han was sent flying in an unstable flight and crashed into the ground. As Naruto prepared to make what was likely to be his last move in Kyuubi mode before Kurama said that he would have to rest a bit before being able to enter the full Kyuubi form, his attack was halted as a familiar voice called out. Summoning Jutsu, Food Cart Destroyer. At this time, Naruto jumped back just in time to avoid Gamahiro, who had come crashing down upon Han, pinning the Gobi mode Jinchuriki to the ground. Ero Sennin? Asked Naruto, his voice also a combination of his own and the Kyuubi's. That you in there, Naruto? Called out Jiraiya. Naruto nodded his large fox head before the full Kyuubi form began to recede, the time limit having expired as Jiraiya jumped down from Gamahiro's head to catch an exhausted Naruto, now back in his original form. Hey, how do you like that, Ero Sennin? Asked Naruto. Damn it Gaki, you've gotta watch where you're throwing those tails around in that form. You nearly hit me, complained Jiraiya. Hey, don't blame me. It's Kurama's fault for not telling me how to control them, retorted Naruto. Speaking of which, you and I've got a lot of work to do once you're recovered, replied Kurama. Naruto sighed, realizing that he was probably in for another boot camp, Kyuubi style. It was then that they heard Han speak. If you're here, then that means they're right? Asked a still Gobi mode Han. Yeah, that Baku guy blew them all up trying to get me, said Jiraiya. He always was an idiot, said Han as the Gobi form receded to reveal a battered Han who crawled out from underneath Gamahiro. If they're then there's no reason to continue this fight. If you think I'm just going to hand over Naruto, then you're just as idiotic as that Baku guy, replied Jiraiya. No, it means I can finally use that as an excuse to get the hell out of Iwa, said Han as he looked over at Naruto. I'd imagine the kid knows what it's like to be singled out and tormented for something out of his control. I took on this mission as a way to get out of Iwa, but I knew they had no intention of allowing me to leave quietly. I knew that upon arriving back in Iwa with the blonde brat, that I would be Kei and Kokuo transferred to someone they could control. At least this way, I can without Iwa getting the dirty hands on him. What? So you're just going to give up? Asked Naruto. People like this, who just wanted to give up and take the easy way out always did get on the blonde's nerves. Not exactly. As of now, Han of Awagakure no Sato is officially I'm just Han now, said Han. So you're just going to leave? Asked Jiraiya. Han nodded. We're far enough from Iwa that I can slip away without setting off any alarm. All I wanted was to just get away from Iwa. I don't want any of those bastards ordering me around and then thinking they can walk over me. I have no love for Iwa and I'd be better off without them. I see, so you're going to use this to fake your death and just go, said Jiraiya. Han nodded. Hey look, I know you hate Iwa and all, but why don't you come back to Konoha? I'm sure I could talk to Baken and she could do something for you, suggested Naruto, earning a facepalm out of Kurama. Hey, such a naive and innocent brat. You could never understand. Even if I were to come back to Konoha, I would never find peace. People all around the 5 great nations hate me for what Iwa made me do, and to be completely honest I hate the whole village system as it is, said Han. Those who believe that peace will come to the shinobi world are fools. Kokuo, can you hear me? Called out Kurama, forming a mental link between himself and his brother. It's been a while Kurama, replied Kokuo. Honestly, I'm surprised to see you here, let alone you actually working with your vessel. Seeing as how exhausted he looks, I take it that was his first transformation. Yeah, we've actually been on good terms for a while, although getting my tail hurt like that is making me reconsider. It was only just before you caught us that we were able to release the seal on him, said Kurama. You always were one to fuss over your tails, chuckled Kokuo. What do you expect? They're one way we foxes make ourselves look good, replied Kurama. Anyways, I didn't want to talk to you about that. There's a storm coming. A group of powerful individuals is coming after us for a reason I don't even know. All I do know is that their intentions can't be good. You should try to convince your host to come back and give us a hand when it hits. It's the only way we can preserve the peace the old man created. Kurama, the peace the old man created is long gone, replaced by nothing more than hatred. Peace will never come back to land of the shinobi and you know it. Hell, you used to believe it yourself, what made you change your mind? Asked Kokuo. At first, it was the kit I'm sealed inside right now, but just recently, I met him. I actually talked to the old man and he said that there is still hope, but it's not going to be an easy journey, said Kurama. Kokuo remained silent for a moment before speaking. I'm sorry Kurama, but I just can't see it. My vessel is right. Those who believe peace can be returned to the shinobi world are fools. The old man might have believed it and I may have believed it at some point, but that time has long passed. The only one who has the power to bring peace was Rikudo Sennin himself, and his time ended over 1,000 years ago. I've learned the hard way, through my past vessels, that peace won't come to the shinobi world. The best we can do right now is to find a place to make our own peace, away from all the violence and hatred and let it rid itself from this world. So you think you can just run away from it? It'll just spread, Kokuo. Hatred will spread. No matter how far you run, it'll eventually catch up. The only way to stop it from spreading to confront it head on and to stop those who wish to allow it to consume us, said Kurama. Kurama, I'm sorry, but there's just no way. If you want to continue with this foolish mission, then go right ahead, but leave me out of it, said Kokuo before severing the mental link. Your brat already knows what I'm thinking, Jiraiya of the Sannin, said Han. There's nothing more you or the kid could say that'll stop me from leaving this land. We've been surrounded by hatred long enough that all we want is some time to our own, to do what we want and live how we want. So where will you go? Asked Jiraiya. Wherever I want. I don't know where that place is yet, but I'll find it, said Han as he turned to walk away. Oh, and I would appreciate it if the two of you spoke as if I was S. At that point, Han removed his helmet, revealing sleek black hair with the exception of 4 spikes that almost resembled Kokuo's horns, and threw it on the ground before cracking it himself. Naruto made a motion to try and go after the giant, but Jiraiya stopped him. I'm sorry Naruto, but I don't think he's going to be convinced. Let's go, there's a village a little over a day from here and I'm sure both of us could use some rest. Naruto and Jiraiya had stopped to make camp for the night. Some of Naruto's energy had returned, but it was still obvious that he was exhausted from fully tapping into Kurama's power. Still, even as much as Naruto wanted to fall asleep, there was still something on his mind. Ero Sennin. Jiraiya turned to his apprentice as he stirred the coals on the fire at their campsite. What Han said back there, about there being no hope for peace, what exactly did he mean by that? Asked Naruto. Peace, it's a tricky concept to grasp. It's something that I've been trying to find myself for years now, said Jiraiya. You've read my book, so you know. Hatred is driven as we grow and experience new pains. But it's that pain that allows us to grow, to see the world, and to be kind, said Jiraiya. Currently, the world is filled with pain and hatred and that makes me think about how much I want to change the world. I know the answer is out there, the answer to peace, but I still don't quite have it yet. Well, I already know the answer, but I don't know how to get there. Really? So what's the answer? Asked Naruto. Well, 1,000 years ago, legend says there was a priest who appeared called the Rikudo Sennin. They called him the Messiah and he saved the world from endless years of war, bringing peace to the world. But even then, the peace wasn't permanent. However, I believe that he believed peace would come the day when people truly understood one another, said Jiraiya. That's the biggest question out there. How do we get people to coexist with one another in a truly friendly and respectful manner? I've been searching for the answer to that question for years now, and even now I'm still looking. I once had a past student by the name of Nagato, who I felt might be the answer, but sadly he passed away over 15 years ago. You know, now that I think of it, he was the inspiration for the main character of my book. He believed there would be peace and understanding someday, said Jiraiya. Even though he may be gone, I still hold out hope that one day, I'll find the answer. And if I can't, perhaps I'll pass it down to you to find the answer. Naruto's eyes widened at Jiraiya's statement, feeling as if the perverted sage was truly acknowledging him. I see a lot of my own self in you and your father. You both never gave up, no matter what the world threw at you, and if I can't find the answer, then I know for a fact that you will, said Jiraiya. Now, it's been a long day. After everything that happened today, and the fact that you've been training non-stop under Mifune-san for months, I think you're deserving of a nice break. There's a nice resort town about 4 days from here, maybe a day if you want to travel like shinobi and not walk. We'll stay there a few days before getting back to training, how's that sound? There was no answer and Jiraiya turned around to see that Naruto was already out. Chuckling, Jiraiya put another log back on the fire before leaning back up against a tree and pulling out a notebook. That resort town has some of the finest beaches, and bikini-clad girls, in all the nations. That'll be a perfect stop for some much-needed research. About an hour passed and Jiraiya heard some rustling coming from Naruto. He knew the kid was anything but a light sleeper and normally he would just ignore it, but still Jiraiya perked his head. Upon doing so, he noticed that Naruto's eyes were cracked open. Normally, this wouldn't have meant anything, but Naruto's eyes were red, not blue. QB. Damn, he can't be thinking of, thought Jiraiya, reaching for a ceiling tag in his back pouch. Relax, pervert. I mean no harm for you or your student, spoke Kurama through Naruto's voice. Jiraiya huffed at the QB of all beings calling him a pervert. I'll have you know I'm not a pervert. I'm a super pervert, corrected Jiraiya, causing Kurama to sweat drop. Ukare, anyways I just want to talk. Is that so wrong? Commented Kurama. What you and the kid were talking about earlier, peace. Are you telling me you of all people are interested in peace? Asked Jiraiya in complete disbelief. Is that really so hard to believe? Asked Kurama, earning a nod from Jiraiya. Regardless, something happened when the kid popped the seal. Apparently his father had sealed some of his own chakra in the seal and appeared to Naruto before fully releasing the seal. Wait, are you telling me Naruto actually met him? Asked Jiraiya. And his mother. Apparently it was one last fail-safe in case I tried to force my way out, but that's. Naruto met Kushina as well. What did they say to him? Asked Jiraiya. Will you be quiet for a moment? I'm trying to tell you something important, yelled Kurama. I don't know what was said between the kid and his parents, you'll have to ask him yourself, but there was one more person who appeared. I guess you could call him my father as he was the one who brought me into this world, the Rikudo Sennin. Jiraiya was on the verge of resembling a gaping codfish. Not only had the QB just claimed he met the Rikudo Sennin, but also said man was his father. Why you talk to the Rikudo Sennin? How? Even in death, that man continues to surprise me. Apparently some of his own chakra had been sealed inside myself and chose that time to appear to me, explained Kurama. Anyways, just figured you should know that even he believes this child is destined to find a way to bring peace to this world. What? The sage himself said that? Asked a stunned Jiraiya. As unbelievable as it may have sounded, for some reason Jiraiya believed the QB's words. Kurama nodded. I know it may be hard for you to believe, but I truly do care for this kid and I'll see that he accomplishes what the old man believes, said Kurama. Oh, and I have a name you know, it's Kurama and I'd much rather be called that than QB. Jiraiya looked at Kurama questioningly. And perhaps I'd rather be called by name rather than pervert or Ero Sennin. Fine, Jiraiya, but I make no guarantees about the kid. Sadly, I think you're stuck with Ero Sennin no matter how hard you try, laughed Kurama. Jiraiya sighed. It was worth a shot. Alright Kurama, is that all you wanted to talk to you about or are you going to tell me more about the sage you said you met? That's a story for another day. Even I'm tired. That first transformation takes a lot out of you, even for me, said Kurama before lying back down and allowing Naruto's body to go back to sleep and leaving Jiraiya alone to his thoughts. Jiraiya wasn't sleeping the rest of the night. No, he was too busy contemplating what the Kurama has said. Kurama had actually claimed the Rikudo Sennin as his own father, causing Jiraiya to sift through his own knowledge of the legends of the sage. Did this mean all the 9 Biju were descendants of the sage? It was some revelation, a crazy one in fact, but Jiraiya couldn't get that thought out of his head. And Kurama mentioned even the sage himself said Naruto was a big factor in the search for peace. Yeah, he definitely wasn't getting any sleep tonight. Yeah, we're finally here, shouted Jiraiya as he and Naruto passed through the gates of the bustling resort town known as Ogasara was situated in the land of oranges, situated along the western coast of the continent. Can't you just feel it? The summer sun, the warm breeze, and most importantly, the babes clad in bikinis. I should have known, thought Naruto. It was only a matter of seconds before Naruto was looking for a hotel while Jiraiya went to scope out possible sources of entertainment. The inn that Naruto had checked them into was a rather nice place, and they just happened to get a room with a view overlooking the beaches, which Naruto would soon be regretting. Although he did have to admit that the place was nice and even he could have some fun here over the next couple of days before getting back into the full swing of training. Speaking of which, Naruto was now trembling at the thought, as Kurama had mentioned that he'd be taking over Naruto's training for a little bit to get the blonde used to using the full power of QB mode. Yeah, Naruto was going to enjoy these last few days of relaxation even if it killed him. The following day saw Naruto enjoying the sun and the ocean out on the beach, something he had been asked to do forever now. This was actually the first time he ever got to see loose and enjoy something like this for once. Perhaps the closest he had gotten to being able to go swimming in the ocean was back in the wave, but he was stuck doing physical labor with his clones and helping Tazuna finish the bridge. Oi Naruto, come over here for a moment, called out Jiraiya. Currently, the Toad Sage was lounging underneath a beach umbrella, reading a book, however Naruto knew better. Currently, Jiraiya had his wandering eyes hidden by said book as to not draw any attention to himself while he fully examined some of the women at the beach. It also didn't help the pervy sage that Naruto knew the book he had his nose buried in was the same notebook he used to scribe ideas for the Ica Ica series. What's up, Ero Sennin? Asked Naruto. Will you stop calling me that? Asked a flustered Jiraiya. I'll stop calling you that when you stop being a pervert, replied Naruto. That aside, there's something real important I want to teach you, said Jiraiya. As excited as I am that you actually want to teach me, I thought we were on vacation, replied Naruto. Well, this is actually something that's best learned while just sitting back and relaxing, so pull up a chair, commented Jiraiya. Naruto immediately knew he was going to regret this as he pulled a beach chair next to Jiraiya. Now, what do you know about sizes? Asked Jiraiya. Sizes? Naruto asked in confusion. Yeah, you know sizes of women, replied Jiraiya, making the outline of a woman's B with his hand. Naruto immediately went red. I mean, check out the cutie playing volleyball in the yellow bikini. I'd say she'd be a C, and with a nice figure to boot as well. Now check out the brunette by the ice cream bar. She may be a bit smaller, probably a B, but she's got a pretty fine A. W. What the hell, you pervert? Shouted Naruto as Jiraiya clamped a hand over the blonde's mouth, shutting him up. Trust me, this is something that a man should know, and I just so happen to be the perfect man to teach you everything you need to know about the joys of a woman's body, said Jiraiya smoothly. And I know exactly where to start. Let's take that cute girlfriend of yours for example. You're not bringing Hinata-chan into this, you pervert. Defended Naruto. Naruto, we've been over this how many times? I'm not a pervert, I'm a super pervert. And as such, I do super perverted things like tell you just how lucky you're going to be when you get back, said Jiraiya. Now when you left, she was what? 13 years in age. For someone who's already a B in terms of B size, that's pretty damn impressive. I don't want to hear this, said Naruto as he tried to drown out the perverted thoughts about Hinata. Now, you see that pretty babe sunbathing over there? Said Jiraiya, pointing to a young woman with ling black hair and wearing a red bikini and a rather busty C. That's what AD looks like, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was Hinata by the time you got home, or maybe some time in the near future after you got back. As Jiraiya said that, Naruto immediately stopped resisting. Of course it didn't help that Kurama wasn't helping the blonde boy at all. In fact, he was helping the blonde's inner pervert. You see, ever since the seal had been removed, Kurama had been able to project images and thoughts into Naruto's head. Not like he was trying to manipulate his vessel, but enough to show the blonde a picture. And right now, he had just taken the image of that woman with a D-cup bust and curvy yet trim figure, and basically put Hinata's head on the body, trying to portray what Hinata would look like in a few years. Jiraiya instantly knew he had the boy in his perverted grasps when he saw a stream of red come from his student's nose. So are you interested in what I have to offer? Very slightly, Naruto's head nodded. Good, my young apprentice. When I'm done with you, you'll be able to tell me the measurements, and not just bust size, of any woman you see, and only the baggiest clothes will obscure your senses, said Jiraiya. Now, the first thing I will teach you about the ways of the perv is to be discreet. So wipe that bee off your face and pull out a book or something. Back in Konoha, Tsunade was sitting at her desk making her way through the mountain of paperwork. If only there was a way to make like 2 or 3 of her, then she could get through the paperwork like it was nothing. But alas, she had found herself unable to find a way to duplicate herself and was condemned to the nightmare of all cages. Oh, cheer up, Tsunade-sama, said Shizune, trying to make it so her master wouldn't throw a fit about the never-ending stack of paperwork, for the 7th time that day. As Tsunade took a sip of her tea, her fist instinctively clenched, shattering the cup. Tsunade-sama, screamed Shizune. Shizune, I've got a bad feeling, Tsunade said as she racked her knuckles. My womanly senses are telling me that pervert of a teammate of mine's going to be so when he comes back. Shizune could only help but gulp as Tsunade glared at no one in particular. With Naruto and Jiraiya. It was late in the evening and Naruto and Jiraiya had returned to the village to get food. Presently, they found themselves at one of the local bars where master and student were sitting inside one of the booths. It had been a good day for Jiraiya as not only had he gotten a good number of ideas for his next book, Ika Ika Tactics, but he had also succeeded in teaching his students some valuable skills in reading women. It was then that Jiraiya felt a chill run down his spine as he suddenly got a bad feeling about something, like someone was going to beat him to death one day, but he just shrugged it off. Now, this skill may not apply as much to you seeing as you've already got a girl, but it can still come in handy, and that's picking up and chatting to women at the bar, said Jiraiya. What you've first gotta do is scope out what you have to work with. Once you have your target in sight, then you've got to figure out what kind of woman she is. Is she the one that will see lose without much of a push, or is it going to take a little bit of effort to get in there? Probably one of the best ways to loosen up a woman is with a drink and a harming conversation. If everything goes smoothly, then you're in for a good night. Naruto's sweat dropped at this. The pervert was just looking for an excuse to get lucky for the night and pass it off to Naruto as a sort of training. Jiraiya's first attempt at getting lucky failed miserably, and Naruto figured it was best to just finish his meal and leave before his perverted sensei did anything too embarrassing. Simply walking around town was a pleasant feeling. By now, it was midsummer and there was a cool coastal breeze coming of the ocean to make it so that the warm summer night wasn't sweltering hot like it should have been. Naruto's little walk eventually took him to the top of a cliff that jutted out into the ocean, giving Naruto a good view of the town in its evening light. You know, this place is actually pretty nice. When Bakan finally gives me some vacation time when I get back, I need to find some way to bring Hinata-chan here, thought Naruto. Just admit it, you want to see her in a bikini, replied Kurama. I do not. What are you talking about, you Ero Kitsune? Objected Naruto. I know you do. That's one of the benefits of not having this seal on anymore, is that unless you specifically keep your thoughts away from me, I know exactly what you're thinking. In particular, a certain midnight blue-haired girl in a light violet bikini, showing off the insanely hot body that she's grown into over the past few years. Your perverted teacher's right when he said that you're lucky if she turns out like I think she is. I mean, did you see the picture of her mother? I may not be human, but even I think that woman was pretty hot. Commented Kurama. I don't want to hear it, shouted Naruto, trying to drown out Kurama's teasing. A few moments of silence filled their conversation before Naruto spoke again, fiddling with his fingers in a very Hinata-esque fashion. Do you really think she's going to turn out like that? Oh, that's a minimum. I wouldn't be surprised if she'd turn out to be even more of a babe than that, teased Kurama. B began trickling out of Naruto's nose as the perverted thoughts that were associated with guys his age flooded his mind, along with the laughter of a certain perverted fox. Hey Kurama, what was she like? Asked Naruto, turning the conversation back on his tenant. Who are you talking about? Replied Kurama, trying to avoid the subject. You know who I'm talking about. You were the one who told me you could tell what I was thinking unless I specifically tried to block it out, replied Naruto. Back in a zoo, you said you had a girl or vixen, I guess. What was she like? It's not something I really want to talk about, Kit, replied Kurama. Are you really going to keep that bottled up? Asked Naruto. Kurama remained silent. Look, I'd imagine it's hard, especially if you really did love her, but I've been reading up on a few things and I think you know what it is I'm talking about. You've just been trying to block those thoughts out of your head. Naruto, just stop, roared Kurama. No, You need to hear this, not just mope around like nothing's going to happen. One of those 5 sealing scrolls that I found is on demonic containment seals, kind of like the one that's sealing you into me. According to that scroll, a seal used to seal a demon within an object is not strong enough to actually kill a demon, maybe only weaken them if something goes wrong. I also know that there has to be some sort of medium for the sealing, such as an altar or shrine for the demonic chakra or essence to pass through, said Naruto. My theory is this: what if she's still alive, but got weakened by the sealing and instead was sealing inside the medium? And what would make you think that? Even your own kind's history scrolls claimed that they had her, replied Kurama. This whole conversation was only making him mad, but it was one that Naruto knew he had to have with his tenant if he wanted to further solidify the trust between Biju and Jinchuriki. Even history kind of lies to make us look better. Take my own dad for example. The village said that my dad you, yet he could only seal you in me. While the cover may not have worked so well, in the end Gigi was trying to make my dad look more powerful. What if her death was only exaggerated to make the ones responsible seem more powerful? Asked Naruto. I may be an idiot at some things, but stuff such as sealing I don't consider myself an idiot at. It's probably the only thing I actually know what I'm doing. And it was one thing I asked my parents. They also think the sealing was exaggerated and that she's alive. Kurama's eyes shot wide open. Could it really be true? Could she really be alive, and just sealed within some silly shrine? So you're telling me that you know where she might be sealed? Me. No. But my mom told me that she had been working on figuring that out. You see, my dad wasn't the only seal master in the family. I mean, you were sealed inside her, you should know my mother was skilled with them as well, said Naruto. She said that she was working on trying to untangle the mystery of where she might be sealed, and she said that she had some notes on the subject. When we get back to Konoha, I'll ask Barkan to get me those notes and I'll pick up where she left off. And why would Kushina do something like that? She always hated me, commented Kurama. No, she didn't. She saw that you were suffering and wanted to do something to try and get you to open up to her, replied Naruto. Look, what I really want to say is that I trust you and I can tell you trust me, but I want to know more about you. I'm not asking you to tell me your story this very moment, but I'd like to know more about you when you feel you're ready to talk about it. Just think about what I'm asking, okay? Kurama sighed. Alright, I promise I'll tell you before we get back to Konoha, but not right now. It's not exactly something I can just tell, you know. That's all I'm asking, and I feel it will really help the two of us move forward with this, replied Naruto. Now let's get back. I've got a feeling Ero Sennin's unconscious in some dark alleyway right about now. A few more days of their vacation passed with Jiraiya teaching Naruto some more stuff that every man should know. Sadly, both of them had accepted the fact that either Tsunade or Hiashi was going to beat Ero within an inch of death when they got back, but realized that it was too late to do anything to correct the situation, so Jiraiya continued on with Naruto's education. Unfortunately for both Naruto and Jiraiya, today happened to be the day a large storm system was passing through the resort village and the two were condemned to the resort in which they were staying. For Jiraiya, this gave him the opportunity to put some of his research into the draft of his new book. For Naruto, this meant reading and editing Jiraiya's attempts at a story. Some were decent, but most were just pretty bad. Thankfully for the blonde, there came a time when Jiraiya had decided to stop writing for the day and Naruto could turn to his own book, more importantly continuing on those 5 secret Uzumaki seals. He had already looked into one scroll on the way to the resort village, which was the Uzumaki demonic sealing scroll. After looking at it some more, he decided to hold off on that one, seeing as he didn't think he'd be sealing a demon within a person or shrine anytime soon, and he was really anxious to get onto the next type of sea. Naruto unsealed the scroll in the second hidden cover seal and read the inscription on the scroll, Regression Seal. Upon hearing the name of the seal come out of Naruto's mouth, Jiraiya instantly froze and dropped the pen he was writing his own drafts with. What did you just say, Naruto? It's one of the 5 secret Uzumaki techniques. The scroll says, Regression Seal, on it. I wonder what it does, said Naruto as he opened the scroll to uncover what had to have been the most complex seal he had ever seen, and Jiraiya was immediately over the blonde's shoulder scanning over the Fuinjutsu, taking a certain scroll out of his own pack to analyze it as well. Holy s. The rumors are true. It actually does exist, gasped Jiraiya. Ero-Sennin, what are you talking about? Asked Naruto. There were rumors that the Uzumakis had developed what was known as a time seal. It's not the same as time-space jutsu because while those jutsus manipulate and control dimensions and dimensional barriers, this seal actually is rumored to be able to reverse time, explained Jiraiya. So it's a time travel jutsu? Asked Naruto. Jiraiya shook his head. Not quite. A time travel jutsu is a theoretical time-space jutsu and something that while there are some theories behind it, has proven to be virtually impossible to implement. However, this is actually something much different and has much more potential. Unlike the theory behind time travel, this only reverts the state of something enclosed within the seal to an earlier condition. I know it may sound complicated, but it only helps to show the complexity behind this seal, but also the potential behind it. Okay, said a slightly confused Naruto. He might be an expert in sealing, but he was no theoretical physicist. Let me try to explain. Let's say you put a dried out piece of fruit within the seal and activate it. If you use the seal enough to take the fruit back, let's say 3 days, then your fruit will be 3 days younger or it will exist at the state it was 3 days ago. You with me so far? Asked Jiraiya. Kind of. So let's say I have day-old ramen and use this seal to take it back a day, then I'll have fresh ramen. Asked Naruto. Jiraiya s his face at this. Leave it to Naruto to use ramen as a reference for something. But still, that was the general idea. Now, let's say you used this on a seal. If you could regress the seal far enough to the point where it was before it was applied, then theoretically, the seal never would have been applied, said Jiraiya. Naruto's eyes shot open as he just realized where Jiraiya was getting at and what scroll Jiraiya had in hand. Does this mean? I think it does, Naruto, said Jiraiya. Get cracking on that seal. Right. I'll have it down, just you wait, Tabayo. Konoha. Suin was sitting at her desk doing, do I really have to say? Okay, she was doing paperwork. More of the goddamn paperwork. Can someone please come up with a jutsu that can help her with the paperwork? I mean, it can't be that hard to come up with something that can duplicate yourself so that you can have the duplicates do the paperwork while you relax, isn't it? Anyways, Tsunade was sitting at her desk doing paperwork when Shizune came bursting through the door, followed by a toad. Tsunade-sama, shouted Shizune, handing a scroll that the toad had delivered to Konoha, addressed to Tsunade. Tsunade took the scroll and began to read. What's it say? Shizune, summon Team Guy in here immediately. Ordered Tsunade. Hi. Right away. Addressed Shizune before running out the door. So you guys have finally figured it out, have you? Thought Tsunade as she read through the scroll. About 10 minutes later, Team Guy was standing in front of Tsunade's desk awaiting whatever orders the Hokage had for them. We've just received an urgent mission request and you four are the ideal team for such a mission, addressed Tsunade. There is a distinguished and famed writer that is desperately in need of an escort and protection. Apparently, he's being targeted by her and has asked our village to send him aid. Tsunade, for some reason, had greatly struggled to get out the distinguished and famed part of the sentence, nearly vomiting at one point. You are to report to the location indicated in the mission briefing and provide him with protection against whoever is targeting him, said Tsunade. Hokage-sama, just how youthful of challenges are we to expect? Asked Lee. According to the report, there is believed to be at least a Jonin leveled on the mission, said Tsunade. Yosh. An excellent challenge. I will fulfill the mission or else I shall return home, walking on my thumbs in shame, declared Lee. That's the spirit, Lee, said Guy, giving Lee the nice guy pose. Anyways, you four are to depart immediately. The location is over a week away and it is imperative that you reach the client in time, said Tsunade. Dismissed. Hi. Addressed all of Team Guy. The 3 Chunin on the team went to prepare for their mission and this Jonin-leveled threat while Guy remained behind in the office. Hokage-sama, I apologize for asking, but what is the real objective of this mission? Asked Guy. I was going to tell you anyways. This is to remain an S-ranked secret until you reach the destination indicated, said Tsunade, handing Guy the scroll that she had just received. I see, said Guy. I understand, Hokage-sama. Jutsu. Kitsune Tempest, a mighty roar that unleashes an extremely strong shearing gale of wind at the opponent or area in front of the Kurama if Naruto uses Naruto, Kurama. Foxfire, A powerful fire that can be utilized when Naruto's in full Kyuubi mode that takes on a golden white color, indicating that these flames are rather hot and intense. Uses Naruto, Kurama. Tailed Beast Ball, a Bijuu's most powerful attack where they gather chakra in the form of a ball with a 8:2 ratio of black and white chakra. Once the ball is formed, three things can happen. A. The ball is fired as is. B. The ball isn't compressed and is expelled as a giant shock wave beam. Or C. The ball is compressed and fired. Option C is usually the most powerful of these options as the compression adds an extra element of power to the attack. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.